It was 3 a.m. when a sharp knock shattered the silence of Sarah Bennett's rural Texas home. 3 precise taps, too deliberate, echoed through the old wooden walls. Sarah stirred, her heart already racing as she glanced at the bedside clock. Her husband, Tom, a seasoned sheriff, was away on a night patrol 2 counties over. His side of the bed was cold, untouched. Alone in the darkness, Sarah felt a chill that wasn't just the night air. The knocks didn't repeat, but the silence that followed was heavier, more menacing. Slipping out of bed, Sarah's bare feet hit the cold floor. She crept to the window, peering through the curtains. A black SUV sat at the curb, engine idling, lights off. It wasn't local, not the sheriff's department, not anyone she knew. 2 men stepped out, dressed in dark tactical gear, vests emblazoned with the words, HOA enforcement, in crude, uneven letters. Sarah's stomach dropped. There was no HOA on their 10-acre property, just wild land and freedom. This was no mistake. A voice boomed from outside, cold and rehearsed. Sarah Bennett, come out now. You violate Code 47A. Noncompliance means detainment. The words were wrong, not law enforcement, but something pretending to be. Sarah's instincts, honed from years as a 911 dispatcher, screamed danger. No shoes, no hesitation, she grabbed a flashlight from the hall and sprinted for the back door. Glass shattered in the living room as she shoved the screen door open and ran into the night. The wet grass soaked her pajamas as she bolted across the yard toward the woods. Branches clawed at her arms, twigs snapped underfoot, and the cold bit her skin. Behind her, angry voices barked orders. Detain her! One shouted, followed by a curse. Heavy boots pounded the dirt, closing in fast. Sarah's flashlight flickered, then died, plunging her into darkness. Her lungs burned, each breath like swallowing glass. She ducked behind a fallen oak, pressing low, muffling her gasps. Her hands shook, not just from fear, but from rage. She knew why they were here. Last week, Sarah had exposed Victor Ramsey, a loudmouth conman who'd been bullying neighbors with fake HOA fines. She'd collected names, dates, even recordings, and sent them all to the county fraud division. She hadn't been quiet about it, and now Ramsey's men were hunting her through the woods she'd once called safe. A radio crackled nearby. Bet the sheriff doesn't know his wife's been breaking rules, one man taunted, his laugh cutting through the night. Sarah's blood boiled, but she stayed still, counting to 20 before darting toward the cabin she and Tom had built deep in the woods, a storm shelter, a last resort. Branches whipped her face as she ran, legs buckling, muscles screaming. The cabin's roof glinted through the trees. She was close. Then, a sharp snap behind her, a twig breaking under a boot. They were right there. Sarah burst through the cabin door, slamming it shut and throwing the bolt with a gritty click. Her chest heaved in the dusty, one-room shelter. Moonlight leaked through a boarded window, every sound amplified, her breath, the creaking floor, a rustling leaf outside. Dropping to her knees, Sarah pried up a floorboard, revealing a lockbox. Her hands fumbled, slick with sweat, but she pulled out a flare gun, a first aid kit, and an old radio. She clicked it on, static hissing. Adjusting the dial, she prayed. A voice broke through. Sheriff Bennett, dispatch. You there? Relief flooded her. This is Sarah, she whispered, voice cracking. Tom's not here. I'm being chased. 2 men, maybe armed, near the old ranger station. The signal was cut to white noise. She slammed the radio, but it was dead. Then, a low growl outside, an engine. Through a crack in the planks, Sarah saw headlights sweep the trees like a predator's gaze. The SUV stopped, and Victor Ramsey stepped out, his silhouette smug, deliberate. This wasn't random. It was planned. Payback. Footsteps approached, slow, confident. Sarah gripped the flare gun, backing against the wall. Silence stretched, then, boom. The door exploded inward, torn from its hinges. Dust swirled as Ramsey stepped through, his voice dripping with venom. "Gotcha, sweetheart." Miles away, Sheriff Tom Bennett's radio crackled mid-patrol. Sarah's voice, faint but urgent, cut through. "I'm being chased." His heart stopped. Dropping the mic, he floored the accelerator, cruiser roaring through the night, red and blue lights blazing. Roads blurred as he raced home, images flashing, Sarah alone, running, calling for help. 30 minutes later, his tires screeched to a halt outside their house. The front door was splintered, the living room trashed, lamps overturned, muddy footprints everywhere. Bare footprints led out the back. Sarah had run. Tom followed the trail into the woods, moving fast, every snapped twig a clue. Then he saw it, a flickering orange glow. The cabin. Muffled voices carried through the trees, then a scream, Sarah's. Tom charged, shoulders slamming the cabin door open. It cracked wide, revealing Sarah tied to a chair, wrists bound, eyes fierce despite her tears. Across from her, Ramsey and 2 accomplices froze. Tom raised his pistol. "Don't move!" The room exploded into chaos. One man reached for his belt. Tom fired, the shot deafening, hitting the man's shoulder. He crumpled, flailing. Ramsey dove behind a shelf, barking. "It's the sheriff!" "Take him!" The second man grabbed a blunt object, but Tom was faster, dropping to one knee and firing again. The bullet struck the man's thigh, sending him screaming to the floor. Sarah gasped, relief breaking through her fear. Tom's eyes met hers, a silent vow, before Ramsey bolted out the side door. Tom gave chase, crashing through the brush, gun steady. Ramsey weaved through trees, gasping, stumbling. A wild shot rang out from Ramsey, the muzzle flash betraying his position. Tom ducked, returned fire, and kept moving. Silence fell, the forest holding its breath. By dawn, patrol units swarmed the woods. Ramsey was found curled in a muddy storm drain, muttering about justice and rules. His fake badge, a melted plastic trinket, dangled from a keychain. His accomplices, bleeding and broken, were airlifted to a hospital. They'd lived to face trial. Sarah sat on the tailgate of Tom's cruiser, a thermal blanket around her shoulders. Her face was streaked with ash, but her spine was steel. Tom sat beside her, arms steadying her, his jaw tight. "I thought I was gone," she whispered. "You're here," he said. "That's all." A state investigator approached, asking why Ramsey escalated so far. Tom's answer was cold. She exposed him. Cowards don't fight fair. They wait for shadows. The trial gripped the nation. Headlines screamed, "Fake HOA thugs hunt woman in midnight ambush." Pundits debated HOA power, vigilantism, and justice. In the courtroom, Sarah's testimony burned. She recounted the chase, the terror, Ramsey's smug voice, never asking for pity. Tom's words were colder, precise, painting Ramsey as a predator. The jury took 5 hours. "Guilty on all counts." Ramsey got 35 years, no parole. The gallery exhaled, justice heavy but certain. Months later, the woods healed. Sarah and Tom fortified their home, motion sensors, floodlights, and a closer radio tower. But Sarah didn't retreat. She launched the Bennett Initiative, a nonprofit exposing HOA scams. Stories flooded in, elderly fined for decorations, veterans harassed. Sarah spoke at town halls, testified for laws banning fake enforcement uniforms. A plaque by the cabin read, "Never again." Not in silence. Sarah wasn't just a survivor. She was a force, her fear forged into purpose. The woods, once a nightmare, now stood quiet, lit by her resolve. "What do you think?" Was Sarah's defiance worth the risk? Should Tom have chased Ramsay alone? Share your thoughts below, and let's debate. How far would you go to stand up to a bully? Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep the conversation going.